Blood and Betrayal. Just a heads up, this story is, well, extremely dark, and honestly, it might make you uncomfortable. It does mention suicide, but no one actually commits it. It's only mentioned. This is a story about family betrayal and payback. The outcome? Well, it may not be what you expect, since, like I said, it's dark. So, if you're at all uncomfortable with this kind of thing, please just don't watch. There are plenty of other videos worth watching on this channel. Thank you. My name is Emma Rose. You know, they say blood is thicker than water. What they don't tell you is that blood can also be poison, and sometimes the people who share your DNA are the ones who will destroy you with a smile. I should have seen it coming. Sarah had always been the favorite, mom's golden child, dad's little princess. While I scraped and clawed for every achievement, Sarah just glided through life on charm and honestly, manufactured tears. But I loved her anyway. God help me, I loved her with every fiber of my being, right up until the moment she ripped my heart out and fed it to me piece by piece. It started with Nana Rose's funeral, the woman who raised me when my parents were just, too busy doting on Sarah, who taught me that hard work and integrity mattered so much more than pretty smiles and empty promises. As I stood at her graveside, watching them lower the only person who truly understood me into the ground, I felt utterly alone in the world. The will reading was a knife to the gut. To my granddaughter Sarah, I leave my house on Maple Street, along with all its contents and the sum of $200,000. Sarah, who visited Nana twice in 5 years, who forgot her birthday every year until I reminded her, who couldn't even be bothered to hold Nana's hand when she was dying because she was too busy with her precious marketing startup. And to my granddaughter Emma, I leave my recipe collection and personal jewelry, with my love, recipes, and costume jewelry worth maybe $300. That was my reward for spending every weekend for 2 years caring for the woman who'd been more of a mother to me than my own. I watched Sarah's face as the lawyer spoke. Not guilt, not embarrassment, just smug satisfaction, like she'd won some game I didn't even know we were playing. "Emma," she said afterward, her voice just dripping with fake concern. "I had no idea Nana would—" "Yes, you did." The words came out cold, harder than I meant. "You knew exactly what you were doing when you told her I was too career-focused to appreciate family heirlooms. When you convinced her I'd just sell the house. You manipulated a dying old woman, Sarah." Her mask slipped for just a second, and I saw the truth in her eyes. She had known. She'd planned this. "That's not— Emma, you're being paranoid. Nana made her own choices." I walked away before I said something that would destroy us both, but the damage was already done. For the first time in my life, I saw my sister for what she really was. A beautiful, hollow parasite who would consume everything I loved to feed her own emptiness. I threw myself into work after that. The Morrison Industries account became my obsession. 18-hour days, endless research, and honestly, some innovative strategies that would revolutionize their entire marketing approach. I sacrificed everything. My relationship with David, my friendships, even my health. But it would be worth it. The Morrison account would make my career, give me the independence I'd always craved. At Thanksgiving dinner, still riding high on my preliminary pitch success, I made the fatal mistake of sharing my excitement with family. I showed them my presentation, walked them through my breakthrough demographic analysis, and revealed the tagline that had taken me weeks to perfect. Morrison, building tomorrow's foundations today. Sarah was so encouraging, so interested. She said, "That's incredible, Em. The way you've targeted the millennial homebuyer market is genius. And that tagline, it's absolutely perfect. You're going to change everything." I should have seen the hunger in her eyes, the way she was memorizing every detail, every strategic point. But I was just, drunk on family approval for the first time in years. My baby sister was proud of me. 3 months later, Jessica's text destroyed my world. "Did you see the news? Your sister's company just landed the Morrison account." I stared at my phone screen until the words blurred. Then I pulled up the Business Journal article with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. Rising Star Marketing lands Morrison Industries in surprise victory. There was Sarah's photo, radiant and triumphant. And below it, word for word, was my strategy, my research, my demographic analysis, my tagline. Everything I'd poured my soul into for 6 months, stolen and repackaged as her innovative breakthrough. The rage that filled me was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. It started as a burning in my chest. Then, it just spread through my entire body like molten metal in my veins. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only feel the pure, crystalline hatred flowing through me like electricity. I called her immediately, my voice shaking with fury. "How did you get my Morrison presentation?" "Emma, what are you talking about?" The innocent confusion in her voice was Academy Award worthy. "Don't lie to me," I screamed, causing heads to turn in the office around me. "That was my work, my strategy, my tagline. You stole everything from me." "I honestly don't know what you mean. We developed this campaign independently over the past several months. If there are similarities, it's just coincidence." Coincidence? I was hyperventilating now, seeing black spots at the edges of my vision. "You used my exact demographic breakdown, my research methodology, my fucking tagline word for word. You sat in Mom's living room and memorized my presentation. Then you stole it. Emma, you're scaring me. You sound unhinged. Maybe you should—" I hung up and immediately vomited into my office trash can. Around me, my colleagues pretended not to notice as I fell apart in real time. 24 hours later, I was fired. "I'm sorry, Emma," my boss said, unable to meet my eyes. "The Morrison loss was catastrophic. We had to let several people go." I cleaned out my desk in a daze, feeling the stares and whispers following me as I walked out with my pathetic cardboard box. 7 years at Thompson & Associates. 7 years of late nights and missed birthdays and choosing work over everything else. Gone. David had already moved out of our apartment the week before, the final casualty of my Morrison obsession. "You care more about your career than our relationship," he'd said. "I can't compete with your ambition anymore." Now I had nothing. No job, no relationship, no future. Just a studio apartment I could barely afford and the slowly dawning realization that my own sister had systematically destroyed my entire life. That night, I sat in my empty apartment with a bottle of wine and a straight razor I'd found in my desk drawer. The blade caught the lamplight as I turned it over in my hands, hypnotized by how easily it would end this unbearable pain. Sarah had taken everything from me. What was left? But then I thought about Nana Rose. How she'd fought through the depression, through losing her husband in Korea, through raising 2 children alone. "Emma," she used to tell me, "the world will try to break you. Don't let it. Break back." I put the razor down and picked up my laptop instead. If Sarah wanted to play games, I'd teach her what happened when you awakened something that was better off sleeping. The research phase took 2 months. I created fake social media profiles, infiltrated online marketing groups, even applied for jobs at companies that worked with Rising Star. I learned everything: Sarah's management style, tyrannical and abusive, her company's real financial situation, desperate, surviving on loans and deferred payments, her personal life, engaged to Marcus Webb, CEO of Meridian Tech, one of her biggest clients. More importantly, I discovered she'd done this before. To at least 6 other people over the years, Sarah had stolen ideas, taken credit for others' work, and destroyed careers without a second thought. I wasn't special. I was just the latest victim in a long pattern of professional predation. That's when my grief transformed into something colder, more focused. This wasn't about getting even anymore. This was about stopping a monster who wore my sister's face. The first domino was Marcus Webb himself. Sarah's fiancé was built like a Greek god and had the ego to match. But he also had a weakness: his ex-wife Elena, whom he'd cheated on and left for Sarah. Elena, it turned out, was still very much in love with her ex-husband and devastated by their divorce. I approached Elena at a coffee shop near her office, posing as a concerned friend who'd heard about her situation. It took 3 careful conversations before I revealed what I really knew: that Sarah was serially unfaithful, that she'd been sleeping with at least 2 other clients while engaged to Marcus, and that she'd bragged about it to friends at marketing conferences. The photos were easy to obtain. Sarah was careless when she thought no one was watching, and, well, the private investigator I hired was very good at his job. There were shots of Sarah entering hotel rooms with married clients. And yeah, Sarah in compromising positions at industry parties. Then there were the videos. Sarah laughing with friends about how easy it was to manage Marcus with sex and false promises. Elena presented the evidence to Marcus the night before Sarah's 32nd birthday party, the elaborate engagement celebration Sarah had been planning for months. Marcus didn't just break up with her, he humiliated her. In front of 200 guests, including her biggest clients, he announced that the engagement was off because his fiancée was a lying, cheating whore who couldn't be trusted with anything, especially other people's work. The video went viral within hours. #SarahExposed was trending on Twitter by midnight. But I was just getting started. The wrongful termination lawsuit came next. Remember Jennifer Chen, Sarah's former account manager? She'd been documenting Sarah's abuse for months. The screaming fits, the stolen credit, the impossible demands, the psychological torture of junior employees. With my help, Jennifer connected with 12 other former Rising Star employees who'd suffered similar treatment. The lawsuit painted a picture of Sarah as a sociopathic boss who destroyed people for sport. The testimony was brutal. Stories of employees having panic attacks, developing eating disorders, even attempting suicide after working for Sarah. One former intern testified that Sarah had deliberately given her food she was allergic to as a joke, sending her to the hospital. The jury awarded the plaintiffs $1.2 million in damages. Sarah's insurance didn't cover it. While the lawsuit was destroying her finances, I was working on her remaining clients. The pharmaceutical company, Zephyr, suddenly found their test results leaked to the FDA, triggering an investigation that would eventually result in a $50 million fine and criminal charges against 3 executives. The campaign Sarah had pitched them would have been considered evidence of conspiracy. Morrison Industries, meanwhile, discovered that their innovative marketing strategy had been plagiarized when I anonymously sent them my original presentation with metadata proving it predated Sarah's work by 6 months. They didn't just sue for fraud, they pressed criminal charges for corporate espionage and theft of intellectual property. By Christmas, Sarah had lost everything. Her company was bankrupt, her reputation was destroyed, she was facing criminal charges in 2 states, and honestly, the stress had caused her to develop this nervous tic that made her left eye twitch uncontrollably. That's when she called me, sobbing hysterically. "Emma, please, you have to stop this. I know it's you. I know you're destroying me." I let her cry for a full minute before responding, just savoring every broken sob. "I don't know what you're talking about. Please," she screamed. "I'm losing everything. My house, my company, Marcus. He won't even look at me. The lawyers say I might go to prison. Mom and Dad won't speak to me. You're killing me." "Am I?" I asked conversationally, "because it seems to me like you're just facing the consequences of your own choices." "You stole from me, Sarah. You destroyed my career, my relationship, my entire life." "Did you think there wouldn't be consequences?" "I was desperate. The company was failing. I needed something big." "So you stole from your own sister, the one person who loved you unconditionally, the one person who would have helped you if you just asked." "I'm sorry!" she shrieked. I'm sorry, I'll do anything. I'll give you the Morrison account, I'll tell everyone what I did, It's too late for that. "Please, Emma, I'm begging you, I'll kill myself if this doesn't stop." The line went quiet. For a moment, I almost felt something that might have been pity. Almost. "No, you won't," I said finally. "You're too selfish to kill yourself. You'll keep fighting and scheming and hurting people because that's what you are. But you'll never hurt me again." I hung up and blocked her number. But I still wasn't finished. The final stroke was pure poetry. "Remember Nana's will? The one that gave Sarah everything while leaving me with recipes and, honestly, just worthless jewelry? There was something Sarah's lawyer hadn't bothered to tell her about, the morality clause buried on page 7. If the primary beneficiary was found to have engaged in criminal activity or demonstrated a pattern of unethical professional conduct, the entire inheritance would revert to the secondary beneficiary. All of it. The criminal charges for corporate espionage were more than enough to trigger the clause, but, I wanted to be thorough. I presented the probate judge with newspaper clippings, lawsuit records, testimony from Sarah's victims, and video evidence of her professional misconduct spanning 5 years. The hearing lasted 3 days. Sarah couldn't afford a lawyer anymore, so she represented herself, alternating between tearful apologies and vicious attacks on my character. She called me obsessed, vindictive, and mentally unstable. She claimed I was jealous of her success and had orchestrated an elaborate revenge fantasy. The judge listened patiently, then rendered his verdict. Sarah had forfeited her inheritance due to criminal conduct and demonstrated moral turpitude. Everything, the house, the money, even the contents down to Nana's china, was now mine. Sarah collapsed in the courtroom, wailing like a dying animal. I watched without emotion as the bailiffs helped her to her feet, her designer clothes all wrinkled, her perfect makeup running in black streaks down her cheeks. As I walked past her toward the exit, she grabbed my arm with desperate strength. "How can you do this to me?" she whispered. "I'm your sister, your blood." I looked down at her, really looked at her, and saw what she'd always been, a beautiful shell wrapped around an endless void of need and selfishness. "No," I said quietly, "you're not my sister anymore. My sister died the day she decided to destroy me for money. You're just a stranger who happens to share my DNA." I pulled free from her grip and walked away, leaving her broken on the courthouse floor. The criminal trial was, honestly, a media circus. Marketing moguls fall from grace. That was what the headlines screamed everywhere you looked. Sarah was convicted on 14 counts of fraud, theft of intellectual property, and corporate espionage. The judge sentenced her to 6 years in federal prison, calling her crimes a betrayal of professional ethics and basic human decency. I attended every single day of the trial, always sitting in the front row where she could see me. Sometimes she'd turn around and stare at me with this weird mix of hatred and, pleading that made my soul sing with this, dark satisfaction. I would smile and wave, just watching her face crumble a little more every time. On the day of her sentencing, she looked right at me as they read her fate. 6 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised probation. I mouthed, "Goodbye, Sarah," as they led her away in handcuffs. That night, I celebrated alone in Nana's house. My house now, with a bottle of champagne and the photo albums Sarah would never see again. I looked through pictures of us as kids, remembering a time when I honestly thought she was the most wonderful person in the world. That innocent little girl who used to braid my hair and share her candy. When had she become a monster? The answer, I realized, was that she'd always been one. I just, loved her too much to see it. Prison was harder on Sarah than I'd expected. Word gets around fast in women's federal prison, and inmates really don't take kindly to women who destroy other women's lives for profit. She was attacked twice in the first year, once with a sharpened toothbrush that left a scar running from her left ear to her jaw, and once with boiling water that gave her second-degree burns on her chest and arms. I know all this because I made sure to stay informed, not out of concern. I was way past that. I just wanted to make sure justice was being properly served. The first letter came after 18 months. "Emma, I know you probably won't read this, but I had to try. Prison is hell. I'm not the same person I was when I hurt you. I've had time to think about what I did, who I was. I want to make amends." I burned it without finishing it. The letters just kept coming, dozens of them over the years, each one more desperate than the last. Stories of her therapy sessions, her newfound religion, her plans to make things right when she got out. I burned them all without reading past the first paragraph. Sarah was released after 4.5 years for good behavior. By then, I'd built an empire from the ashes she'd left behind. Integrity Marketing Solutions started with just me and Jennifer Chen in the converted garage behind Nana's house. We specialized in ethical marketing for small businesses, companies that valued honesty over profit margins. Word spread quickly in our industry about the firm that actually delivered what it promised, that treated employees like human beings, that had never stolen a single idea from anyone. Within 5 years, we had 40 employees and offices in 3 cities. Our client retention rate was 98%. Our employee satisfaction scores were the highest in the industry. We were featured on magazine covers, won awards for corporate ethics, and I was invited to speak at conferences around the world about building successful businesses without destroying people. I hired every single person Sarah had wronged over the years. Jennifer became my partner and COO. Marcus Webb, after his own journey through therapy and self-reflection, joined as our head of client relations. We created a workplace that was everything Rising Star Marketing had never been: supportive, honest, collaborative. David came back into my life during my 3rd year of success. He'd heard about what I'd built, how I'd transformed my pain into purpose. "You're not the same person," he said over dinner at our old favorite restaurant. "There's something different about you now. Stronger." "Sarah taught me who I really was," I said. "She burned away everything weak and left only what was unbreakable." We remarried 2 years later in Nana's garden, surrounded by the people who'd helped me rebuild from nothing. It was the happiest day of my life, not because I'd found love again, but because I'd proven that Sarah's betrayal hadn't destroyed me. It had forged me into something better. The last time I saw Sarah was at our mother's funeral 3 years after her release from prison. She looked like a ghost of herself, thin, gray-haired, wearing a cheap black dress that hung loose on her skeletal frame. The scar on her face had faded but was still visible, and her hands shook constantly from what I later learned was early-onset Parkinson's disease brought on by prison stress and untreated trauma. She approached me hesitantly during the reception, her eyes red with tears. "Emma, Don't." My voice was calm, controlled, final. She flinched as if I'd struck her. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything. I know it doesn't change anything, but..." "You're right, it doesn't change anything." I looked at her without feeling. No anger, no pity, nothing at all. "You destroyed the woman I used to be, Sarah. That woman who loved you unconditionally, who would have done anything for you. She's dead. You killed her." "I know. I live with that every day. The guilt is killing me." "Good," she recoiled as if I'd slapped her. Around us, relatives were starting to stare. "How can you be so cold?" she whispered. "I'm still your sister." "No, you were my sister's killer. Now you're just a stranger I used to know." I walked away, leaving her standing alone by Mom's casket. It was the last time we ever spoke. Sarah died 2 years later in a charity hospital in Detroit. Parkinson's disease, complicated by liver failure from years of alcoholism. She was alone when it happened. No family, no friends, no one to mourn her passing. The funeral home called me because I was listed as her next of kin. I hung up without asking about arrangements. Someone else, a social worker who'd worked with her, I think, organized a small service. I didn't attend, but I heard from a distant cousin that only 6 people came. 6 people to mark the end of a life that had once seemed so bright and promising. I felt nothing when I heard about her death. Not satisfaction, not grief, just emptiness where my love for her used to live. Sarah had been dead to me for years. This was just biology catching up to emotional reality. But that night, alone in my study, I pulled out a photo I'd kept hidden in my desk drawer for over a decade. It showed 2 little girls at Christmas morning, faces bright with joy, arms wrapped around each other in pure sibling love. Sarah was maybe 7, I was 9, and we looked like we'd never be apart. I stared at that photo for a long time, remembering what it felt like to love someone completely, unconditionally, with the absolute trust that only children can have. Then I put the photo in the fireplace and watched it burn. The child who had loved Sarah was gone. The woman she'd betrayed was gone. Even Sarah herself was gone now, reduced to ash and regret, and a cautionary tale told in marketing circles about what happens when you build success on other people's destruction. What remained was the person she'd created through her betrayal. Harder, stronger, more careful with trust, but also more aware of its value. Someone who understood that love without boundaries is just enabling, that forgiveness without accountability is just weakness, and that sometimes, honestly, the most loving thing you can do is let someone face the full weight of their choices. Sarah had taught me that blood means nothing if it's poisoned by selfishness and cruelty. She'd shown me that the people closest to you can be the ones who hurt you most deeply, but also that you can survive that hurt and build something beautiful from the wreckage. In the end, her betrayal was the greatest gift she ever gave me. It revealed who I really was beneath all the people-pleasing and unconditional love, someone who couldn't be broken, only transformed. The last lesson Sarah taught me was this: some people are born with a void inside them that can never be filled. They will consume everything and everyone in their desperate attempt to feel whole, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. The only way to deal with such people is to cut them out of your life completely, cauterize the wound, and never look back. I kept that lesson with me as I built my new life, my new family of choice, my empire of ethical success. And when young employees would come to me with stories of betrayal by friends or family, I would share what I'd learned, that the people who love you don't destroy you for their own gain, and the people who destroy you never really loved you at all. Sarah thought she was teaching me a lesson about the world being cruel and survival requiring ruthlessness. Instead, she taught me that cruelty is a choice, that survival can come through integrity, and that the strongest revenge is living well while your enemies destroy themselves with their own poison. She's been dead 5 years now, and I've never once regretted the choices I made. Some might call what I did to her excessive, even cruel. But they didn't feel the moment when someone they loved completely chose to destroy them for money. They didn't experience the special agony of being betrayed by the one person in the world who was supposed to protect them. Sarah made her choices. I simply ensured she lived with the consequences. And if that makes me a monster, then at least I'm a monster who keeps her promises and protects the people she loves, which is more than Sarah could ever say. The woman who would have forgiven her is dead. The woman who remains learned that some wounds can only heal after the poison is removed, even if that poison shares your blood. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely? Has a family member or close friend ever stolen from you or destroyed something precious in your life? I know this story is intense, but betrayal leaves scars that run deeper than most people understand. If you've experienced anything like this, please share your story in the comments below. Sometimes, honestly, just knowing we're not alone in our pain can be the first step toward healing. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel for more real-life drama and revenge stories. Your support helps us share these powerful tales of survival, justice, and the strength people find in their darkest moments. Remember, you are stronger than whatever they did to you.
Welcome, deep divers, to a story that really tests the limits of family ties and revenge.
It's a heavy one.
Definitely. Today, we're diving into, well, a really profound tale of betrayal and this incredibly calculated retribution. It spans years.
Yeah, years. And our source material is quite unique, isn't it?
It is. It's drawn from excerpts from a personal account, a book titled Blood and Betrayal, A Sister's Reckoning. So we get this really intimate firsthand perspective.
Almost uncomfortably intimate at times.
Right. And our mission today is to unpack how these really deep-seated family dynamics can, well, spiral into just devastating betrayals.
And not just the betrayal, but the response.
Exactly. How one person, Emma Rose, chose not just to survive something unthinkable, but to actually exact this cold, calculated, years-long revenge, and how that completely transformed her.
Mm-hmm. And it's probably important right up front to mention the warning that comes with the source material itself.
Good point.
The author calls it extremely dark. There are mentions of suicide, though nobody actually goes through it, thankfully. But the outcome it's definitely unconventional.
Yeah, it's not a typical healing journey.
Not at all. So while we're exploring resilience and, the long shadow of unforgiveness, we need to be clear. We're reporting on these actions, we're exploring them, not endorsing them.
Absolutely. It's an exploration of human behavior, its extremes, and its consequences. And Emma Rose, our narrator, she sets the tone right away with this really stark opening line.
The blood and water one.
Yeah. They say blood is thicker than water. What they don't tell you is that blood can also be poison. I mean, hearing that, does it immediately signal this isn't just some sibling rivalry?
Oh, absolutely. That single phrase, it just perfectly encapsulates the kind of twisted dynamic we're about to see unfold.
Right.
It signals deep-seated toxicity. It prepares you, doesn't it? For a story where family isn't comfort, it's a crucible.
A crucible. So the narrative kicks off explaining the dynamic between Emma and her sister Sarah. Sarah's the classic golden child.
Right, the favored one. Charming apparently knew how to use tears effectively.
Exactly. Described as someone who glided through life on charm and manufactured tears, well, Emma felt she always had to, quote, scrape and claw for every achievement.
A familiar dynamic in some families, unfortunately.
Yeah. But despite this, Emma says, initially at least, she had this unconditional love for Sarah, which makes the first betrayal even harder.
The grandmother's will.
Nana Rose's will, yes. Nana was apparently the only person who really got Emma, raised her, taught her about hard work, integrity. Her anchor, really.
And then the will reading happens.
And it's a shock. Sarah gets Nana's house on Maple Street, everything in it, plus $200,000 cash.
Wow.
And this is the Sarah who, Emma claims, visited Nana maybe twice in 5 years. Forgot her birthday.
And Emma, what did she receive?
Emma gets, and I quote, my recipe collection and personal jewelry. Worth, Emma estimates, maybe $300.
Ouch. After 2 years of caregiving.
Exactly. 2 years caring for Nana in her final illness.
That's harsh. And Sarah's reaction.
Emma describes it as smug satisfaction. No guilt, no embarrassment, just smugness.
Jeez.
So Emma confronts her, accuses her of manipulating a dying woman, telling Nana that Emma was too career-focused and would just sell the house.
And Sarah's response?
According to Emma, that's when the mask slipped. She saw Sarah clearly for the first time as, and this is another intense quote, a beautiful, hollow parasite.
Parasite. That's a truly disturbing way to see your own sister.
It really is. So with that wound just festering, Emma does what many people do. She throws herself into work.
Right, pours all that energy into her career.
Her focus becomes this huge potential account, Morrison Industries. She talks about 18-hour days, endless research, innovative strategies, total dedication.
At a cost, though.
Big cost. Sacrificing her relationship with her partner, David. Friendships. Her health. She believed landing this account would make it all worthwhile.
And then Thanksgiving happens.
Yet, the fatal mistake, ironically, at a family dinner. Emma's feeling good. She's just done a preliminary pitch. It went well. So she shares her entire Morrison Industries presentation.
The whole thing. Strategy, analysis, everything.
Everything. Walks them through her breakthrough demographic analysis, even reveals the tagline she'd spent weeks perfecting. Morrison building tomorrow's foundations today.
Oh, no. And Sarah's reaction?
Deceptively encouraging. According to Emma, Sarah praised her genius, told her it was brilliant. But Emma also noticed this. Hunger in her eyes.
Memorizing it all.
Like she was meticulously logging every detail, every strategic point.
Okay, I think I see where this is going.
Yep, 3 months later. A text message. Sarah's company, Rising Star Marketing, has just landed the Morrison account.
Using Emma's work.
Not just similar, Emma's exact strategy, her research, her demographic analysis, and her tagline, word for word, repackaged as Sarah's own innovative breakthrough.
Unbelievable. The audacity.
The fallout for Emma. Immediate. She describes this feeling, not just anger, but pure, crystalline hatred.
I can almost feel that. Pure, crystalline hatred. Wow.
She furiously calls Sarah, of course, and Sarah gives this Academy Award-worthy performance of innocent confusion, claims it's all just a huge coincidence.
Right, a coincidence.
Within 24 hours, Emma's fired. Her firm says the loss of the Morrison account was catastrophic. They couldn't keep her.
So the sister steals her work, gets the account, and Emma loses her job because of it.
Exactly. Pure, crystalline hatred. That description just sticks with you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the personal devastation was now complete.
Because David had already left.
David, her partner, had moved out the week before.
Yeah.
He couldn't handle being second place to her job anymore. So Emma's left with literally no job, no relationship, no future. Nothing.
That's rock bottom. Truly rock bottom.
It's hard to imagine hitting lower. And losing everything like that, it pushed Emma into an incredibly dark place, didn't it?
Yeah, the source describes her alone in her apartment. Bottle of wine and a straight razor.
She was contemplating suicide, feeling like Sarah hadn't just betrayed her, but had taken literally everything from her.
Yeah.
That moment, it really feels like the absolute pit.
But then something shifts.
The turning point.
She remembers something Nana Rose used to say, a kind of philosophy.
Right. What was it?
Nana apparently told her, Emma, the world will try to break you. Don't let it. Break back.
Break back. Wow.
Oh. Powerful words, and incredibly potent in that specific moment.
And that's exactly what Emma decided to do. She put down the razor.
And picked up her laptop instead.
Yeah. The signal. The start of a very different path. Not recovery, but revenge. A cold, calculated plan begins.
Yeah. And she didn't rush it.
No, the first 2 months were pure research. She went deep, created fake social media profiles, infiltrated online marketing groups.
Even applied for jobs.
Yep, applied for jobs at companies connected to Rising Stars, Sarah's company. She wanted to learn everything.
And what did she find?
She found out about Sarah's management style, described as tyrannical and abusive. Found out Rising Star was in desperate financial trouble. And learned about Sarah's personal life, including her engagement.
To Marcus Webb, CEO of Meridian Tech. A big client.
Exactly. But then came the really critical discovery.
This is where it gets even more interesting, isn't it?
Yes. Emma uncovered that her own betrayal wasn't an isolated incident. Sarah had a long-established pattern of this. Professional predation.
She'd done it before.
Stolen ideas, destroyed careers. Emma found evidence of at least 6 other people Sarah had targeted over the years.
Wow. Okay, so that changes things, doesn't it? For Emma, I mean.
Completely. Emma says this discovery transformed her grief, her personal sense of injury, into something colder, more focused.
It wasn't just personal anymore.
Exactly. It became, in her mind, about stopping a monster, stopping Sarah from hurting anyone else.
So the meticulous preparation pays off. She's got the information. She's got the motivation, now amplified. How does she start to, well, execute?
She orchestrates it. It's not just lashing out, it's a campaign.
Yeah.
How did this multi-layered plan begin to unfold?
Well, Emma's strategy, as described, unfolded in these really distinct phases. Each one designed for maximum impact, hitting Sarah where it hurt most.
Okay, phase 1.
Phase 1 was all about personal humiliation, and the target was Sarah's fiancé, Marcus Webb.
The CEO. How does she approach that?
Carefully, Emma approached Marcus's ex-wife, Elena, posed as a concerned friend. Over 3 conversations, she laid it all out.
Laid what out?
Sarah's serial infidelity revealed she'd been sleeping with at least 2 other clients, and Emma didn't just make claims.
She had proof.
Oh, yeah. Private investigator photos, Sarah in, let's say, compromising situations, and even recordings of Sarah bragging about how she was managing Marcus, implying manipulation beyond the professional.
Wow, so she gives all this to the ex-wife, Elena. What does Elena do?
Elena waits. She waits until the night before Sarah's huge, elaborate 32nd birthday party, which was also supposed to be their engagement party.
Perfect timing for maximum drama.
Exactly. Elena presents all the evidence photos, recordings to Marcus. And Marcus, well, he reacts explosively.
At the party. Oh, yes. In front of 200 guests, he publicly humiliates Sarah, calls off the engagement right there, calls her, and this is a direct quote from the account, a lying, cheating whore who couldn't be trusted with anything, especially other people's work.
Oof. In front of everyone.
The whole thing was filmed by guests, of course, went viral almost immediately. The hashtag Sarah Exposed was trending by midnight.
Okay, that's brutal public humiliation. You can imagine the fallout from that alone.
But Emma was, as you said earlier, just getting started.
Right. Humiliation was just phase 1.
Indeed. She then moved on to orchestrating Sarah's complete professional and financial ruin. This wasn't just about embarrassment anymore.
How does she tackle that?
Multiple fronts. First, the wrongful termination lawsuit. Remember Jennifer Chen, one of Sarah's former employees?
Yes, Emma had connected with her during the research phase.
Emma helps Jennifer and 12 other former Rising Star employees build a case. They document everything. Sarah's screaming fits, the stolen credit, the psychological abuse.
And they won?
Big time. The jury awarded the plaintiffs $1.2 million. And crucially, Sarah's business insurance didn't cover that kind of deliberate misconduct ruling.
So that's a huge financial hit right out of Sarah's pocket, or the company's, which was already shaky.
Precisely. Concurrently, Emma starts sabotaging Sarah's remaining clients, The book details one instance where she leaked damaging test results from Zephyr Pharmaceuticals, a major client, directly to the FDA.
Ooh, that's serious. What happened?
Triggered a major investigation. Zephyr ended up with a $50 million fine. They immediately fired Rising Star, obviously.
Wow, that's playing hardball.
And then the final crushing blow on the professional front. Remember the Morrison Industries account?
The one Sarah stole in the first place.
Emma anonymously sends Morrison her original presentation, complete with the metadata proving her authorship and the date it was created long before Sarah pitched it.
The smoking gun.
Exactly. Morrison Industries was furious. They sued Sarah not just for fraud, but they pressed criminal charges for corporate espionage.
Criminal charges. Okay, so this escalated way beyond lawsuits.
Way beyond. So by Christmas that year, Sarah's world had just completely imploded.
Let's recap. Company bankrupt.
Bankrupt. Reputation destroyed.
Utterly. Facing criminal charges.
In 2 states. The stress was apparently immense. Emma notes Sarah developed a noticeable nervous headache, her left eye twitching uncontrollably.
A physical manifestation of the collapse.
That's when Sarah finally picks up the phone and calls Emma.
Desperate.
Totally desperate, hysterical, sobbing, begging Emma to stop, admitting she knows Emma is behind it all. She even threatens suicide again.
And Emma's reaction this time?
Cold. Dismissive. Emma apparently told her, "You're too selfish to ever follow through with that." Then she hung up.
And blocked her number.
And blocked her number, just cut off.
Wow. The coldness is chilling.
And then came what Emma herself calls the pure poetry of her revenge. It involves Nana's will again.
The will. But Sarah got everything.
But remember how Emma felt cheated? Well, she'd eventually gotten a full copy. And buried deep inside on page 7 was something called a morality clause.
A morality clause. What did it say?
It stipulated that if the primary beneficiary, Sarah, engaged in criminal activity or demonstrated a pattern of unethical professional conduct, the entire inheritance would revert.
Revert to whom?
To the secondary beneficiary, Emma.
No way. Seriously.
Seriously. Nana Rose had put it in years ago, apparently after seeing some early signs of Sarah's character.
So all that evidence Emma gathered wasn't just for revenge.
It was ammunition for probate court. Emma meticulously presented the judge with everything. Newspaper clippings about the scandals, the lawsuit records, testimony from Sarah's victims, the viral video, evidence of the criminal investigations. A mountain of proof spanning 5 years.
And Sarah, could she fight it?
She tried. She couldn't afford a lawyer by then, so she represented herself. The account describes her alternating between tearful apologies and these vicious attacks on Emma, called her obsessed, vindictive, mentally unstable.
How did the judge react?
Listened patiently to both sides, then delivered the verdict. Sarah had clearly engaged in criminal activity and demonstrated profound moral turpitude. She forfeited the entire inheritance.
Everything. The house, the money.
Everything. The house on Maple Street, the remaining cash, Nana's china, the jewelry Emma was initially given. It all went to Emma.
What was Sarah's reaction in the courtroom?
According to Emma's account, Sarah just collapsed. Collapsed right there in the courtroom, wailing.
And Emma, did she say anything?
As Sarah was being helped up, she apparently grabbed Emma's arm, pleading, "How can you do this? I'm your sister, your blood."
And Emma's response?
Stark. Final. She said, "No, you're not my sister anymore. My sister died the day she decided to destroy me for money. You're just a stranger who happens to share my DNA."
Chilling. Absolutely chilling.
The criminal trial followed. It was apparently a media circus. Headlines like, "Marketing moguls fall from grace."
And the verdict?
Guilty. Sarah was convicted on 14 counts. Fraud. Corporate espionage.
14 counts. What was the sentence?
6 years in federal prison.
6 years.
And Emma.
Emma attended court every single day, sat in the front row, watched Sarah's face crumble throughout the trial. And as Sarah was finally led away in handcuffs, Emma mouthed 2 words to her.
Which were?
"Goodbye, Sarah."
Wow. That is intense dedication to seeing it through. So Sarah goes to prison. What was that like for her, according to the source?
Difficult. Very difficult. Word got around about her crimes, apparently. The nature of them betraying trust, destroying careers, didn't win her many friends inside.
Was she targeted?
Attacked twice in the first year. Once with a sharpened toothbrush, leaving a scar. Another time, someone threw boiling water on her, second-degree burns.
Brutal. And her health?
Declined rapidly. The source mentions early onset Parkinson's disease setting in, likely aggravated by stress, and reported alcoholism developed inside.
Did she try to contact Emma from prison?
Oh, yes. Sent desperate letters, apologies, pleas for help, descriptions of her suffering.
And Emma's response?
Emma received them. and she burned every single one without reading it. Just burned them. Complete severance. Sarah served her time.
She was released after 4.5 years, apparently for good behavior, despite the incidents.
Okay, so while Sarah is in prison dealing with all that, what's happening with Emma? She has the house, the money.
She's rebuilding. But not just rebuilding her old life, she's forging a completely new path. She starts her own marketing company.
Makes sense, given her background. What was it called?
Integrity Marketing Solutions. The name is obviously very deliberate.
Integrity marketing. A direct contrast to Sarah's rising star. Who does she partner with?
Jennifer Chen, the woman who led the lawsuit against Sarah. They specialize in ethical marketing, mostly for small businesses.
And was it successful?
Hugely successful, rapid growth.
Uh-huh.
The source mentions a 98% client retention rate, which is phenomenal. Top employee satisfaction surveys, numerous awards for corporate ethics.
So she built the antithesis of Sarah's company. That's interesting. What about the team?
This is a key detail. Emma deliberately sought out and hired every single person Sarah had wronged that she could find and who was willing.
Wow, so she created this haven almost.
Exactly. A supportive, honest, collaborative workplace. Jennifer Chen became her COO. And get this, even Marcus Webb, Sarah's humiliated ex-fiancé.
He joined the company.
After some time, and as the book puts it, his own journey of self-reflection, he joined as head of client relations.
That's quite the turnaround. It really shows how Emma channeled that negative energy into building something positive and ethical.
Definitely. And the personal rebuilding continued too. David, her former partner.
The one who left before everything imploded.
He came back. He saw the transformation in Emma, saw her as stronger, forged by the experience, not broken. They reconciled.
Did they get married again?
They remarried, actually,
Yeah.
2 years later, in Nana Rosa's garden, at the house Emma now owned, surrounded by all the people who had helped her rebuild her life.
So for Emma, this wasn't just about revenge anymore, was it? It was about proving she could build something better from the ashes.
Exactly. Proving Sarah's betrayal hadn't destroyed her spirit, only reforged it.
A powerful statement. But was there any final interaction? Did the sisters ever meet again?
Yes. One last encounter. It happened years later, at their mother's funeral.
Okay. What was that like?
Sarah was there. Emma described her looking like a ghost. Thin, prematurely gray-haired, her Parkinson's tremor very noticeable, a shadow of her former self.
Did she approach Emma?
She did. She went up to Emma, desperate it seems, to finally apologize, to say she was sorry.
And Emma's reaction this time, after all those years?
Calm, controlled, final. She looked at Sarah and said, "You destroyed the woman I used to be. She's dead. You killed her."
Wow.
Sarah apparently whispered something about being consumed by guilt, and Emma's response to that, one word,
What was it?
good.
Oof, cold.
And then Emma delivered the final sentence. "No. You were my sister's killer. Now you're just a stranger I used to know." And she walked away.
A stranger I used to know. No forgiveness there. None at all.
None. That was the last time they ever spoke. Sarah died 2 years after that funeral. Alone. In a charity hospital. Complications from Parkinson's and liver failure. The source says only 6 people attended her funeral.
And Emma. How did she feel when she heard Sarah had died? Relief. Satisfaction. Grief.
Emma describes feeling nothing. Not satisfaction, not grief, not even relief, just emptiness. A quiet void where all that history used to be.
That's profound in its own way, the absence of feeling.
And there was one final symbolic act Emma performed after Sarah's death.
What was that?
She took out a decade-old childhood photo, one of her and Sarah, smiling together. And she burned it.
Why?
She writes, it was a quiet acknowledgement that the person in the photo who loved Sarah was long gone. And Sarah herself, the betrayer and the victim of her own choices, was now just ash and regret.
Ash and regret. A bleak ending for Sarah.
Incredibly bleak. So looking back at this whole intense saga, what can listeners really take away from Emma's dark journey? It's challenging.
It really is. Especially her perspective near the end.
Right. She frames her sister's betrayal, astonishingly, as the greatest gift she ever gave me. I mean, that's a tough concept, isn't it?
It is. It forces you to consider if sometimes, maybe, hitting absolute rock bottom, having everything destroyed, is the only way someone discovers an unbreakable core within themselves.
And her other insights. Love without boundaries was just enabling. Forgiveness without accountability was just weakness. They're potent ideas, born from extreme experience.
They absolutely are. Emma's journey, it highlights this often uncomfortable truth about resilience, doesn't it? Conventional wisdom pushes forgiveness, always.
Right, forgive and move on.
But her story suggests maybe that some wounds, some betrayals are so deep they demand, well, accountability, or even complete severance, like we saw, before any kind of healing can even begin for the person left behind.
So integrity forged in fire is the ultimate defense.
That seems to be her takeaway. Her core lessons distilled are pretty stark. Blood means nothing if it's poisoned by selfishness and cruelty.
That echoes her opening statement.
It does. Also, the people closest can hurt you most, but survival is possible. You can build something new, even beautiful, from the wreckage.
What else stood out?
The idea that some people just have this void, it can never be filled. And sometimes the only healthy response is to cut them out completely. No half measures.
A hard truth.
And that cruelty is a choice. But survival for Emma came through integrity, eventually, and maybe her most cutting insight. The strongest revenge is living well while your enemies destroy themselves with their own poison.
Living well is the best revenge, but amplified. She acknowledges, though, that people might see her actions as excessive, even cruel.
And she has that caveat, doesn't she?
Yeah, that chilling line. But they didn't feel the moment when someone they loved completely chose to destroy them for money.
Oh.
It really makes you question the limits of empathy when faced with that level of betrayal, doesn't it?
Right. It absolutely does. As Emma puts it, the woman who would have forgiven Sarah is dead. The woman who remains, the one forged in that fire, learned that some wounds only heal after the poison is removed entirely, even if that poison shares your blood.
Wow. What a profound and profoundly dark journey for both Emma Rose and Sarah. The lessons about trust, betrayal, healing, they certainly stick with you.
Mm-hmm. This deep dive definitely raises some uncomfortable questions, I think. Like, when is true healing impossible without severe consequences for the person who inflicted the deepest wounds? Is that ever the case?
Right.
And does a journey like Emma's, as extreme as it is, tell us something fundamental about our capacity for resilience? Or maybe our capacity for retribution? What stands out to you listening to this? What resonates or disturbs you about Emma's choices and her transformation?
It's a lot to process. And as Emma's story concludes, she leaves us with that final thought, aim perhaps at anyone who's faced betrayal. You are stronger than whatever they did to you.
It makes you reflect.
Definitely. Consider what it truly means to break back when you feel like everything's been taken. And maybe more practically, what boundaries do you need to set in your own life to protect yourself from similar kinds of poison?